Hi, I'm horror author Paul Edwards. Tonight, I'm reading Doctor Who Weekly, issue number 29 from 1980. I thought you might enjoy flipping through this vintage magazine with me. Together, let's see what kinds of monster kid goodness is in here. Doctor Who Weekly magazine, issue 29 from April 1980 for only 12 pence. We've got a contest here. 100 Doctor Who records must be won. In this issue, we're going to hear about Doctor Who sound effects, looking behind the scenes with the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, and 3 great comic strips featuring the Doctor and K9, although that's a little misleading, but the Doctor is not in all 3 of them, but we'll get to that. And of course, this is Doctor Who number 4, Tom Baker. Let's see what else we get in this issue. Unit. Gallifreyan Guardian. Oh boy. All right. So first up, there's a continuing comic story going on here, and you get a different chapter of it in each weekly issue. Doctor Who and the Dogs of Doom. Did they portray Tom Baker well? I think so. That's pretty good. Well, that's as far as we're getting for the... Oh, no, it's not. There's another page here. There we go. That's a bit better rendition of Tom Baker. Ah, but that's much worse. Next, The Beast Inside. Oh boy, it's the Unit hotline. In the old days here, UNIT meant United Nations Intelligence Task Force. When they revived Doctor Who in 2005, I guess the UN didn't like that. They didn't want it to be United Nations anything, so they made it the Unified Intelligence Task Force. But that makes a lot less sense. These are codes. Can you crack the code? Yeah. Oh, a UFO sighting. All right, under Know Your Enemy, these are files on the different aliens. But this thing is from the Keys of Marinus. That was a Doctor Who, a first Doctor episode back in 1963. That was not an encounter that UNIT ever had. UNIT didn't come along until years later. Sounds peculiar. Here, this is worth reading. The familiar sound of the TARDIS takeoff, for example, isn't as difficult to achieve as it might seem. In amongst Dick's wondrous futuristic gadgets, there lies the remains of a very old piano. Dick just takes a key from his pocket, runs it up the bass string of the sad, neglected instrument, and there you have it, the familiar vramp of the TARDIS as it leaves one adventure to find another. I never knew that's how they made the TARDIS noise. This is Dick Mills, the sound wizard for BBC. Okay, so you do get 3 comics in this, but they're not all Doctor Who comics. This is the Doctor narrating vintage science fiction stories. In this case, First Men in the Moon. A lot of times they were H.G. Wells or Jules Verne stories. Whoa. Yikes. That's pretty impressive. But these pages are hard to turn. Sands of Time. This is a text short story, Doctor Who short story, which is, of course, to be continued. Crazy caption. This is another First Doctor one. This is from the Web Planet, the Zarbi story. What would your caption be for this? Here's the winner for last week's. The Third Doctor and Sarah Jane. And see the gigantic spider clinging to her? And the caption that won is, "I don't care how friendly it is. We are not having any pets in this house." That's all right. That's okay. That's pretty good. Oh, you can win £5 in this contest, too. Here's the Gallifrey Guardian. Oh, filming in Paris. This was when they were filming City of Death. The one that had Julian Glover as the bad guy. K9's voice makes a comeback. John Leeson was out for a while as K9's voice, and he was back now. Star Tigers. This looks like a Draconian from the Third Doctor's era. But I don't see any sign of the Doctor himself in here. Oh yeah, that's definitely a Draconian. John Pertwee said that he really liked these monsters because the masks allowed for a lot more facial expression as opposed to things like the Ice Warriors, where they just had a sort of a blank face. It was a lot easier for the person in the costume to act, and it was easier for the other actors to act against and react to. Oh. Okay. If you've only ever seen the modern Doctor Who, you may have heard a couple of references to the fact that back in the old days, there were a couple of his companions who were killed. The most famous of them was Adric. He was a teenage boy who was a math wizard. He died during the Fifth Doctor's time. The second most famous one is this one, Sarah Kingdom. Sarah Kingdom was a companion during a gigantic 12-part story that they did called The Dalek Master Plan. And the Daleks were working on a time destructor, an ultimate weapon. And unfortunately, Sarah Kingdom fell victim to the time destructor and was killed by it. Not to be confused with a different Sarah, Sarah Jane Smith, who was a much longer term companion for the Third and Fourth Doctors. Ooh, a new look for the 80s. You know, I sort of remember these. They probably shouldn't have named them pocket books, though. Here in the United States, that's another word for a purse, a pocket book. Maybe in Britain it doesn't have that meaning, I don't know. I'm not good at translating from American into English. Any of our British friends can tell us. All right, Doctor Who Weekly. Again, there's not a whole lot of content to these, but that's because they were weekly publications. They only had to last you for a few days. You know, this was not a monthly thing like Famous Monsters of Filmland. I say it was pretty good. If you're a fan of classic monsters and vintage horror, check out my book series on Amazon, the Mourners Woods books. My name's Paul Edwards. Thanks for looking through Doctor Who Weekly with me. I'll see you in Mourners Woods.